Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to another sports stuff video. Today we are talking about week 4 of Nick's picks of the week. Yes, the video is coming out very late. I've had a few days where I did not have Wi-Fi, so I could not record any videos and post them. So I decided, you know what? I'll wait till my Wi-Fi is back up and running, and I'll record. That is happening Friday at 8 p.m. So Thursday Night Football did already get played, where the Seahawks did beat the Arizona Cardinals, even though the Cardinals in the last quarter really tried to make it a game, the last 2 drives. Unfortunately, the Cardinals did fall short. And if I'm gonna be honest with you guys, I would have chosen the Cardinals to win that game. So I am wrong. You know, I did lose one. So I would have picked the Cardinals to win. Seahawks won. So yeah. But yeah, let's get into the video. So starting off, we have the Tennessee Titans at Houston Texans. At this current moment, I don't know. I'm gonna go with the Houston Texans. One at home, right? One being at home is definitely gonna be a bolster. And I just don't see the Texans being 1-3. The Titans roster, you know, the offensive line is young, a lot of question marks. Wide receiver core is very bad outside of Elick and Manor. Cam Ward is only in, game 4 of being a quarterback. Bad run game. Their defense has some bright spots, obviously, with L'Jarius Sneed, Jeffrey Simmons. But outside of that, not really a good defense. And Brian Callahan, I still don't like as a coaching hire. I thought he was a weaker hire by Tennessee when they replaced Mike Vrabel with him. The Houston Texans, I'm still pretty high on that defense of the Houston Texans. I think they can draw multiple turnovers from Cam Ward coming up soon. So I am going to go with the Houston Texans beating the Tennessee Titans in week 4. Then we got the Baltimore Ravens at Kansas City Chiefs. Man, this is going to be a really interesting game because the Ravens defense has looked really poor. The Chiefs, everything has looked really poor so far in the season. I think I'm going to go with Lamar Jackson. Again, I think this could easily be a game that the Chiefs win, but I just think that the Chiefs overall team is very bad. What's crazy to say is that no matter what, one of these teams will be 1-3. No matter what, the Ravens or the Chiefs will be 1-3. Week 4, I think it's a little early for them to have scheduled this matchup between them. Obviously this is a AFC Championship, AFC Divisional Round matchup type of level of a game. To have it in week 4 is a little interesting when teams are still getting used to their new pieces on offense and defense, new play callers usually. The Chiefs, I do question if they can even make it to 2-4 by the time Rashee Rice comes back. The Ravens, again, it's just like, can they get the pieces working together in their defense, kind of like get that step back up on being a top 10 level defense. I don't know. We'll see what can happen. I think offensively, though, Lamar Jackson always gives the Chiefs fits. And usually it's the Ravens defense that falters against the Chiefs offense. But the Chiefs, I mean, Travis Kelce's another year older, isn't looking that good. Their number 1 receiver is Tyquan Thornton. Like Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice have been having dealing with injuries. Tyquan Thornton is their number 1 receiver. That's a joke. So I think I'm going to go with the Baltimore Ravens shutting down the Chiefs in this game. Next, we have the Jets at Dolphins. I'm going to go with the New York Jets. I think the Jets, man, they could have easily beat the Buccaneers last week. If it did, again, if their defense could have hold the Bucs one more drive. We're talking about the Jets being 2-1 right now. But it didn't happen. It happens, but I like Aaron Glenn. I think what he's building is very good in New York. Justin Fields looks impressive. Obviously, he had that awful game in week 2, but week 1 was spectacular. Week 3 looked pretty solid as well. The Dolphins, they just look bad overall. Apparently, they're the number 1 blitzing team in the league, and they have the 32nd ranked pressures. So they're blitzing the most, but getting the least amount of pressure. So that's generationally bad pass rush. And for the Jets with Justin Fields, where if you're going to keep blitzing him and he can get out of that and, throw it to Garrett Wilson, run for a first down, this is the exact type of offense to take advantage of a poor pass rush. Now, I do like the Dolphins linebackers, right? I like Jordan Brooks. I think he's a pretty solid linebacker, and I thought last year looked spectacular. But again, this entire defense from the Dolphins took a step back. Their offense took a step back. There's a very high chance Tua is not on this team next year, and this team is going to start selling after this game, right? Because you have Tyreek Hill you can trade. You have guys on defense like Bradley Chubb, whoever else, Minka Fitzpatrick, you can always swap out. Multiple offensive linemen, I think some teams would be interested in. So there's pieces that the Dolphins could move on from. I just think that if they continue to lose and go to 0-4, 0-5, I do see a very likely chance of them selling off their roster. And the New York Jets, I think this is a really good team. Their offense especially go up against this really bad defense. And offensively, I just don't think Tua is going to be able to beat the New York Jets defense. I like their defensive line. Will McDonald has been really good this year. And yeah, I'm going to go to the New York Jets beating the Miami Dolphins. Next, we have the Bengals at Denver Broncos. I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos. Obviously, Jake Browning is going to be the quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. He does not look like 2022 Jake Browning, whatever year that was, 2022, 2023. He does not look like the same guy. You know, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when he took over for Joe Burrow during injury, I thought Jake Browning actually played pretty well, and that could have like leewayed himself into a high end backup role with another team. He stayed in Cincinnati, so that's fine. You know, he backed up Joe Burrow. He's getting more opportunity this year, but he looked really bad last week. He just looked really bad. He was constantly, when he was under pressure, constantly looking at the wrong receiver, staring down his targets, not getting the ball out quick enough, not adjusting his pressure from the offensive line. So I do think that this Denver Broncos defense is getting advantage of Jake Browning. Bo Nix and this offense continue to look not good. You know, honestly, Bo Nix had a good first half last week, but overall, I think the Denver Broncos, like I said, preseason, I was very weary about choosing them to win any games because their offense looked stagnant. It looked bad, and their defense, it was going to be their defense. But, you know, surprisingly, I'll say it, I think this is a very good get back right game for this Denver Broncos offense. And if I am putting money on anything, I'm going to go with the Denver Broncos getting right on track with their offense against a piss poor defense for the Cincinnati Bengals. Then we got the Minnesota Vikings at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Obviously, it's going to be an overseas game, so there actually is no home game advantage. I'm going to go with Carson Wentz and the Vikings. Last week, he made that offense look electric. The passing game really improved under Carson Wentz. Because, again, he's a 10-year veteran. He knows how to, he knows all these offensive schemes, all these different play calls. He understands them better than J.J. McCarthy, who is technically a rookie. Obviously, he's not a real rookie. He was an injured rookie, and now it's his first 3 games he was starting the season. But Carson Wentz, really good last week. I think the Minnesota Vikings, if they can just keep that to level of play with how his defense has been, getting better and better every single week, they can shut down the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, the Steelers, their defense looks really bad. Their offensive line looked a lot worse than it did last year, which is obviously not a positive when it comes to, hey, we really got to get this thing going. And Aaron Rodgers, while he's throwing touchdowns, I definitely don't think he's the same quarterback he was 2, 3, 4 years ago. This is a dude who likes to take a lot of dump offs, likes to do the checkdowns, do the easy routes, and then once they're in the red zone, throw to the big body DK Metcalf. I think the Minnesota Vikings defense is going to be better than a lot of the defenses they've played so far, and I'm going to take the Minnesota Vikings overseas winning that game. Next, we have the Carolina Panthers at the New England Patriots. This is gonna be an interesting game. I think both teams are pretty comparable. I might go with the Carolina Panthers again. I believe in Bryce Young. I believe I had preseason. I had the Panthers as like 9-8 or 8-9, sneaking into the playoffs. So I do think the Panthers can make a playoff push. I like the offense. I like the defense. The only question I have is, will this Patriots defense finally step up? I thought it was a pretty solid defense. They have a lot of guys I like on the defense, whether it's Christian Gonzalez, whether it's Kyle Duggar, who I believe was actually cut. I don't think he's actually on the team anymore. I can't remember. But the defensive line, I really like Harold Landry, Christian Barmore. I like their defense offensively. Their offensive line's rebuilt. I like Drake May. I'm a very big fan of Travion Henderson and Ramondre Stevenson. I like their wide receiver core of a bunch of wide receiver 2s and 3s. They're getting a lot of opportunity right now. I like it. However, I think the Carolina Panthers offense is very special. I think it can be very special. Bryce Young's looked pretty solid in the first 4 weeks. I'm not going to say he's looked spectacular. He's looked pretty solid. The run game looks a lot better than it did last year. And Ted McMillan looks amazing. It looks amazing. If Christian Gonzalez does not play this week, Ted McMillan might have like 2 touchdowns. Like, he's looked very good. Obviously, their tight end play could get a little bit better. I'm not a big fan of what's going on with Xavier Legette. He looks really slow, and it's like not a good first round pick. And you kind of need him, right? The whole point was to have Ted McMillan, Xavier Legette, and Bryce Young. That was the 3-man group going for the future, and it just looks like Xavier Legette is just not getting it in year 2. So I'm gonna go with the Carolina Panthers. I like their defense. I like their offense. Again, I've been saying I think they can sneak into the playoffs, but I think the New England Patriots could easily win this, especially because it's at home. I think this is definitely a game that the Patriots could win. Next, we have the Chargers at Giants. We go with the Chargers. Again, Justin Herbert currently is probably the MVP front runner. Their defense with Jesse Minter looks amazing. Offensively, Quentin Johnson is really taking a next step forward. I think he's top 3 in touchdowns this year. Really good deep threat. He can really turn into in year 3. Of course, the year that I drop him in my dynasty league is the year that he finally clicks, and that's awesome to know. The New York Giants, Jackson Dart's first game. I mean, that's a really tough defense to have a first game against with Tarheeb Still, Derwin James, and that pass rushing group that they have. Really rough first game, especially with that really bad offensive line. The Giants, I think Malik Neighbors, and this could be a good game for Malik Neighbors. As much as I like Tarheeb Still, I think Malik Neighbors is just a head and shoulders above a lot of the corners in the league that I respect and like. But I think you can easily see a Derwin James being very physical with him down the field. I'm going to go with the LA Chargers, though. I don't think it's going to be a big discussion from anyone the Chargers beating the Giants this Sunday. Next, we have the Bills and Saints. Come on, man. Come on. That's just not fair. This should not be a game. Can we just cancel it right now? This should not be a game. Buffalo Bills by 50. I don't even need to talk about it. I really don't even need to talk about it. Obviously, the Buffalo Bills are, if not one of the best teams in the NFL. Solid defense, amazing offense, well coached right now as well. I think the coaching has really taken a step forward this year. A lot of people have been calling for Sean McDermott's job in the last year or two because they keep choking in the playoffs. But, I mean, the way that their offense and defense are moving, I'm a very big fan of Sean McDermott this year. The Saints, this could be the number one overall pick team. I think we just need to accept it. This team is not going to win a game for a while. In fact, I would love to see, what is the Saints game schedule? When do we think that the Saints can win their first game? They're not beating the Bills. Okay, next week, Saints Giants. That could be a game. That could be a game that could win. I think they might be able to win a Saints Patriots game. They're not winning. 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 If the game goes correct. Saints Dolphins is another game that could win. They're not winning. They're not winning. They're not winning. They're not winning, and they might win. So this is a at most 3-win team with the rest of the schedule if they keep playing how they're playing. This could be if it's not number 1 overall pick, number 2 or number 3 overall pick. This is a top 3 pick guaranteed team. The Buffalo Bills are about to put up 50 on them. We could be seeing Mitchell Trubisky thrown in the fourth quarter. I'm being 100% honest. Next, we have Browns at Detroit. As much as I want to pick the Cleveland Browns, I'm going to go with the Lions. Do I think the Browns could upset the Lions? Absolutely. I think this defense could absolutely shut down the run game. We've seen it through the first 3 weeks with Chase Brown, Derrick Henry, and Josh Jacobs. We've completely shut down those run games. So I don't think David Montgomery is going to be really a big issue. The question is Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, we did also shut down Lamar Jackson, and I think Lamar Jackson, Jahmyr Gibbs, they have similar running styles where they're very elusive and they're very jittery to try and break you out of your socks. So I do think there's a chance that the Browns could shut down the run game and Denzel Ward, Greg Newsome, and enter nickel corner versus Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That's going to be interesting. That's where I think the matchup really is. I think Carson Schlesinger and this defensive line are going to shut down the run game. But can our secondary hold up against these really good pass rushing threats like Sam Laporta, right? Isaac Tesla, who's really picking up steam? I don't think so. And I don't think that the Browns offense is going to be competent enough to beat this defense. Because the Detroit Lions defense, while it's not top 10, it's still a unit that loves turnovers, right? Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, they love picking the ball up. They love forcing fumbles. So I do worry about that. So can Joe Flacco turn his brain back to 2023 and throw for 4 touchdowns with a pick or 2 and score 28 points? And then with that, can his defense hold them to 14 or less points? I think it's possible, but I'm going to go with the Detroit Lions for every reason I just said. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts at the LA Rams. I'm going to go with the Colts. I do think the Colts should go all in this year. I mean, like, Daniel Jones looks amazing. I think this has to be said. Daniel Jones looks amazing. The Kevin O'Connell 1-year experience it's going to get talked about by me very soon. I want to wait till about halfway through the season to talk about Sam Darnold, Daniel Jones, and Carson Wentz. I want to wait a little bit longer before I talk about them. So I'm not going to talk about it a lot right now. But Daniel Jones looks amazing. Jonathan Taylor looks amazing. This is the top 5 offensive line. And the wide receiver core is good enough to win. Defensively, I have a lot of questions. I like Travarius Ward. I like Kenny Moore. Good corners. Secondary, I love Cam Bynum. I love Zaire Franklin. The biggest question mark for the Colts is pass rushers. You have Grover Stewart. You have DeForest Buckner in the D tackle room. I think they're still good enough to be a very good D tackle room. But the pass rushers are very young. Kwity Paye, Leatu Latu. I got a lot of question marks about the pass rushers. So if somehow the Colts can get to 4-1, 5-2, that kind of range, I think they could be very big buyers in the trade market. But I think this week specifically, I think the Colts offense can run against this Rams defense. I love Jared Verse. I love Braden Fisk. But outside of that, this Rams defense is very thin. Very thin at like high caliber talent. I do worry about Matt Stafford every single week. Again, this is a guy who didn't practice in training camp, didn't practice in OTAs, and had a lot of back spasm issues throughout the year. I worry about him every single time I watch him play football, that something could happen to him. Because if he gets sacked weird once, his nervous system is gonna shut down. Like, if he's got to hit him just right, his back is gone. So I do worry about Matt Stafford. Obviously, Kyren Williams is, in my opinion, a top 5 running back in the league when it comes to getting to the end zone. Blake Corum's looked pretty solid this year. You can't talk about the Rams without Puka Nacua and Devontae Adams. I do think the Rams can win this game, but I trust what I've seen from the Colts so far this year versus what I've seen from the Rams so far this year. Knowing how they both play offensively and defensively, I think the Colts can win this game. This could be a field goal win, by the way. I'm not talking about like by 10 points they're going to win. They can squeeze it out by a field goal. And I would be like, yeah, both teams played amazing, but the Colts, just their offense is able to drive down the field one last time. Next, we have the Jaguars at 49ers. I'm going to take the 49ers. I think the 49ers, yes, Nick Bosa's out for the year, but you have Mykal Walker, who I was a really big fan of. He's a really good run stopper. And Travis Etienne is definitely the biggest weapon for this Jags offense right now. And Mykal Williams is a very good pass rusher when it comes to stopping the run. I like the interior of the defensive line as well. I think it's a very good defense to go up against Travis Etienne. Because right now, Trevor Lawrence can't get to Brian Thomas Jr., can't get it to Parker Washington, can't get it to Brenton Strange. And all he's doing is doing a lot of dump offs to Travis Etienne and getting it to like, I don't even know, I can't remember the guy's name. Not Gabe Davis, like Zay Flowers or Zay Smith, whatever. Whatever the dude's name is, leading them in receives. He's a wide receiver. I can't remember his name, of course. But like BTJ is not getting targets, and when he does get targets, he's dropping the ball. He's afraid of getting hit. And Brent Strange is a solid tight end, isn't really getting a lot of play. The 49ers, they're going to stop the run, and I just don't think the Jaguars are going to be able to overcome that defense. And while Brock Purdy's coming back from injury, so the 49ers offense is not going to be top, peak offense, I think the Jaguars have a lot of need on defense they need to talk about. They need to work it through. This is a team I do think, at best, maybe it's a 7, 8, 9 win team in the Jaguars, but I think there's going to be a lot of things they have to work through, especially with a head coach that I don't like. Next, we have the Chicago Bears at the Las Vegas Raiders. I am going to take the Bears. I'm not gonna lie, the Raiders look awful. It's really disappointing. I liked a lot of the moves that they made. I said before the season started, I thought Pete Carroll was a very great hire. He's who I predicted that they would hire to steady the ship, get the franchise ready. So in 3-4 years, when Pete Carroll retires, they have a very good foundation, a good culture, a good team that then a young head coach can take over. Right now, this is the messy period, right? The offensive line looks bad. Ashton Jeanty, I think all of his yards are coming after contact right now. Trey Tucker and Dante Thornton, that's your wide receiver core. That's crazy. Brock Bowers and Michael Mayer are not really getting a lot of play because Gino doesn't have time to throw the ball. Like, and their defense is a lot of old guys with not a lot in Max Crosby, who again is now a veteran. Like, they don't really have a lot of young talent on the defense that I truly believe in. Then meanwhile, in the Chicago Bears, all they have is young talent, right? Caleb Williams. The offensive line has a lot of guys I like when it comes to veteranship, but you have Colson Loveland, Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden. Like, I love the offense. That defensive side of the ball, Griffin Dexter is playing amazing right now. TJ Edwards, he's finally back and healthy and playing for them. Their secondary does have a lot of injuries, but overall, I think the Bears can easily beat the Raiders. If they can keep playing like they did last week, they don't have to put up as many points. If they just keep playing as they did last week, I do think the Bears could be a playoff team, potentially. Next, we have Eagles at Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Right now, they are unstoppable. They have no turnovers, 0 turnovers offensively, and they've come back 3 weeks in a row, game-winning drives by Baker Mayfield and Chase McLaughlin. I do think this will be 4 weeks in a row of a game-winning drive. I think the Eagles are going to be able to, time of possession, run the ball on them, score. Devontae Smith is going to get his touchdown. AJ Brown will get 2 or 3 big catches in this game. But overall, it's going to be a defense. It's going to be the Eagles offense controlling the pace of play, and the Buccaneers with Baker Mayfield, Bucky Irving, and Emeka Egbuka just having to make big play after big play to get in a position to kick a field goal. I fully believe it's going to be 4 weeks in a row that this Tampa Bay Buccaneers offense has to go and win this game for this team because the defense is awful. No pass rushers. Linebackers are old and slow. The secondary needs more help, right? The Buccaneers, if they can just get a full draft class of free agency of defense, they can be a Super Bowl team. Their offense is really good, but their defense is bad. The Eagles are very well balanced, so that's why I think overall, the Buccaneers offense will be able to play well this game, but the Eagles offense will control the pace of play, and that's going to kill any chance that the Buccaneers have of winning by a touchdown or more. It's going to be by 1 point, a game-winning field goal if the Buccaneers do win, and I do think that's something they could do. Next, we have the Commanders at the Falcons. I'm going to go to the Washington Commanders. Right now, the Falcons, man, I don't know what's going on. This is a team that has a top 5 running back, a top 10 wide receiver 1, a top 10 tight end 1, a good offensive line, and a young quarterback. And they can't score points. I don't understand it. Their defense is playing better than they did last year, but all of a sudden, Zach Robinson can't coach. He can't call plays. I don't know what's going on. I'm hoping that they can prove me wrong and get back on track. I love what the Falcons are building, but for whatever reason, they cannot get everything clicking together. As for the Washington Commanders, they're starting to get everything back on order, right? For week 1, week 2 looked really bad in my opinion, but week 3 they're starting to get back in control of their future, of their season, and I think this is another get right game for them. Of like, hey, this is a good defense, a good offense. The Commanders defense, a lot of veterans on it, and a lot of guys are kind of towards the end of their primes or even past their primes. They're just playing well. And offensively, Jaden Daniels is doing his thing. But apparently, Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin did not practice today. So if Marcus Mariota is throwing to Deebo Samuel, I don't know. This could be like a tie. Like I'd rather bet it was a tie than anything else. But right now, I'm gonna go with the Commanders because I do think if Jaden Daniels can play, he's gonna try and play. I think he is playing better right now offensively than the Falcons are defensively. And I just don't know what's going on with this offense for the Falcons. I don't understand it. I mean, any coordinator in the NFL can put together a top 15 offense with the weapons and offensive line that they have. But for some reason, Zach Robinson, who I thought was a very good offensive coordinator entering the year, has struggled all year to make it work. So I just don't know what's going on. Next, we have the Packers at the Dallas Cowboys. I'm gonna go with the Green Bay Packers. The Cowboys, again, they're a little weird. I don't really understand what's going on with them in my personal opinion. I think there's a team that could easily win 7, 8, 9, 10 games, but they have struggled really bad to begin the season. Defensively, they can't get pressure, ironically, and their secondary keeps getting hurt. And offensively, they're doing well. I think Dak's doing well. I think CeeDee Lamb, obviously he's injured, so it's gonna be George Pickens and Jalen Tolbert and Jake Ferguson. The offensive line's playing well. Javonte Williams looks really good, but their defense is very bad. And for the Packers, they just ran into Myles Garrett. That's the reason they lost. They ran into Myles Garrett in this Jim Schwartz defense. And I'm not to be mean to the Cowboys. That defense in Dallas is not Myles Garrett, and it's not Jim Schwartz's defense. You traded your Myles Garrett to Green Bay, and he's coming back pissed off that you didn't want him and you didn't want to sign him to an extension. This could be a 2.5, 3-sack game for Micah Parsons, and I would not be shocked. I think Jordan Love and his offense, they want to get back right after that awful performance they put on last Sunday. I think Micah Parsons is going to make it personal and gets 2.5, 3 sacks. And genuinely, I think he could be the guy that kills a game for the Cowboys. So that's my predictions for week 4 of the NFL season. After this week, I'm going to go back to my last 4 weeks of Nick's picks of the week, count up what I've gotten right, what I've gotten wrong, and then I'll start counting it from there. So next week, there will be a counter of, the ones I predicted, how many I got right. So if you guys enjoy, please like, comment, subscribe, hit notification bell to be notified when I post next. I got more videos coming out. I got a bunch of topics I've written down and kind of working out the framework of those videos. So there is going to be more videos coming out soon of different kind of topics. So I hope you guys do stay tuned, hit the notification bell to be notified when I post those. And I'll see you guys later. Peace and bye.